Hey, good morning, everyone. It's Coach Chris from AccuTrader.net, coming at you with a weekly update, I guess I'll call it, weekly review and update video. Before I begin, just the general disclosures. I am not a financial advisor. I will not give you specific financial advice. I will never ask you to give me money to trade or trade with anybody else's money but my own. There's a link down below in the description to the official government disclosures. If you're not familiar with them, go ahead and click on that, and you can see what that's all about. So what I have on the chart here is a weekly chart of the MNQ, which is the Nasdaq 100 futures. And when we do a top-down analysis, we always start from the widest range, and what I start with is the weekly. You can look at the monthly, but it really, in my opinion, doesn't prove. You don't need to do it on a frequent basis. You can do it once or twice every other month or monthly. That should be adequate. I start with the weekly every week. And so what you can see here, this is April. Let's just go back. January. So you can see what the market's done. We started out down here in the 17.5, 17.6 range. And that is back in April of 24. And you can see it was a steady increase, almost, I don't know, what is that, a 45-degree angle? And we peaked in July up around the 21,300 range. Since July, we've had a fairly substantial pullback. And if you'll notice what happened here, we came back 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks a month. And then on the first week of August, if you notice what happened, something interesting happened. This candle went all the way down 1,000 points to where we were last April, okay? Touched it and then immediately reacted. We went up a couple weeks, came back down, and since then, this was the first week of September, this big down candle. Since then, we've reversed that and got almost back to a point where we're now within 600 points of that high, okay? So we slowly climbed up, what is that, 3,000 points almost, came back, touched this, and then a little back and forth to where we find ourselves now, up near the highs. The interesting thing about this candle, though, is look where it came, almost exactly down to this point here. Remember, price likes to revisit where it's been. Always remember that. Now, this candle here and this candle here were obviously a result of the interest rate drop. The market anticipates into the future. They're always operating 6 months out, 8 months, a year in advance. They're not operating, now short term, obviously, once they got confirmation of that interest, of the exact interest rate drop, yes. But now they're continuing to look into the future. Well, here, back here, they were already looking at this interest rate drop. And so a lot of that drop is what we say it's already priced into the market. Now that we have that drop, the actual interest rate drop announced, now the issue becomes what is going to happen moving forward that will continue to propel this upward. And in my opinion, I honestly don't know. I mean, when you look at this, we obviously have much more room to come down than we do to come up. Now, I'm not saying that's going to instantly happen. I'll explain that. But an interest rate drop of the magnitude that we had doesn't signal that we have a strong economy. Okay, the Fed has been focusing almost entirely on inflation. And they're claiming inflation is down, which we know it is year over year. But when you look in the grand scheme of things, we all know it's much higher, especially in the housing market and at the grocery store. It hasn't hit gas prices, at least in my area yet, but it could. So although the interest rate drop provided a short-term benefit here, it's actually a sign that there could be more weakness in the economy than they're really letting on to. And I think you're seeing that. I know in my area, there's a lot of people that are really struggling, primarily due to the high cost of housing, and that they incurred a lot of debt. You know, when things are good like this, people go out and they buy expensive things, but they don't pay cash for it. They buy on terms, you know, on monthly payments. Well, right now, they're starting to see in the banking industry, they're starting to see a default on these expensive cars and trucks that people have bought. I don't know the housing market, but the credit card companies are saying people are getting behind on their bills. So although that interest rate cut did provide a temporary boost, longer term, we may not be so beneficial. And so if you look at this, what might happen is we may see something like this, where we may continue up a little bit higher, or maybe even test these highs. And when you look at this level up here of 21,300, it's only what is that? It's about 7, 8. You know, it's only 800 to 900 points higher. So we could maybe see a run all the way up to set a new time high, or maybe somewhere in this range and stop and then see a pullback. Or we may this week get a candle that just confirms this and then rotates down. Now, when I say pullback, I'm not predicting a huge pullback. I'm predicting, if you look at right about here, let me just draw a line there quick. You can see in the past there was resistance in this area, and obviously down here at 18,600, there's a lot of support. So that's kind of what I maybe see happening. Maybe an initial push up this next week, or a continuation, maybe to say test that 21,000 range, which is like right in this mid area of this range. And then I'm thinking perhaps we start to see a pullback either to this level, which would be the 19,200 range, or to this level, which is the 18,600 range, which would be about a 1,000 point pullback, which is about 4 to 5%. These kind of corrections or pullbacks happen all the time. Now, the question is, will it continue and go all the way down here? And I guess that is yet to be determined between now and the end of the year. And that's when I'm talking probably the end of the year, first quarter of next year. Will depend now. We'll start to see, is the underlying economy very strong at all, or is there a lot of weakness in that economy? So having said that, let's just go and notch down a bit. That's the weekly. Let's go ahead and go down to the daily if I can find it here. I may have to move.